Assassin's Creed Syndicate. This isn't a game in the Assassin's Creed franchise you hear getting talked about very often. This is likely due to the fact that Assassin's Creed Unity, released in the year prior, was a major disappointment upon its release. This had left fans unenthusiastic about the release of Assassin's Creed Syndicate in 2015. 9 years later, I have decided to replay Assassin's Creed Syndicate in order to see whether the game deserved more hype or it really was just destined to be a failure. The setting in Assassin's Creed Syndicate is arguably the most iconic aspect of the game. For years prior, fans longed to see a game set in London, and this game finally delivered that. And ultimately, I would say that Ubisoft delivered it perfectly. The setting in this game really is special. It has many iconic landmarks, it goes from Big Ben to Buckingham Palace, and they're all incredibly eye-catching. They really did convey Industrial Revolution England in a special way, with a map that is truly stunning to explore. Another impressive aspect of this map can be seen just by running through the streets. There are many different buildings with unique signs and names, and this gives the map a more authentic feel as they really do capture the style of this period. It really goes to show the amount of time and effort that the Ubisoft developers put in order to make this map feel more realistic. However, one negative that is brought from this map is that it is much more open than Assassin's Creed Unity. Whilst it's historically accurate from a practical perspective, this makes parkour much less enjoyable, and this is a huge part that makes Assassin's Creed popular. This often leaves you moving around the map in other ways, whether that's by carriage or spamming the rope launcher from rooftop to rooftop. However, that being said, you really can't go wrong with Victorian London as a setting for any game. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is the first time that we got two different main characters to play as, which makes this game very interesting. We go on the journey of the two siblings, Evie and Jacob Frye, and this is the part of the video where we discuss possibly my most hated aspect of this game, and that aspect goes by the name of Jacob Frye. They definitely tried to make him the more witty and comedic character, but he just ends up ruining many exciting moments in the game with his cheap one-liners, and this isn't just once or twice, he does this constantly in every single cutscene, and it's hard to take anything he does seriously because of this. It takes away from so many great moments in this game. I get that Syndicate is supposed to be more light-hearted, but I find this man just annoying and repetitive.
Oh, we seem to have made an unscheduled stop. I've seen bigger.
On the other hand, Evie is quite an enjoyable character, who I wish we got to see more of, as she has much less time in the game than Jacob, which really is a shame, because her story in pursuing the Apple of Eden is much more interesting and could have been even better if she was actually given enough time. She has much more complexity in her character and more accurately fits the mold of a traditional assassin. This also applies to the gameplay, whereas she is more stealth and parkour focused, which I find more entertaining given that this is an Assassin's Creed title, whereas Jacob is more focused on the combat aspect. Evie, in my opinion, is by far the better character. And conveniently, that moves us to the actual gameplay of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Parkour and stealth in Assassin's Creed Syndicate feel very similar to Assassin's Creed Unity, as you use the same engine in both games. With parkour, the main difference is down to the more open map, as I previously mentioned. When it comes down to the stealth, I will say that it doesn't quite live up to that of Unity's, but is still one of the best games when it comes to the stealth mechanics. It has a really smooth feel to it, and it is a central part of the game with various bombs and tools that can be used. It can be really satisfying going from blighter to blighter utilising haystacks and rooftops to take them out without being seen. This is arguably the last game before the release of Mirage where stealth is actually the most effective and fun option, because the three games released afterwards were definitely not stealth games in the slightest, but let's be honest, it's best we don't talk about those. Now the combat in Syndicate is quite different, and many people aren't fans of this at all. Personally, I think the more cartoonish style of combat fits the tone of the game perfectly, and it is genuinely really smooth and fun to use. Yet its flaw does come about in the fact that it's just extremely easy. You never truly feel like you're at risk of dying in this game, because no matter what level you're at, it's quite simple to avoid enemy attacks, no matter the number of enemies there are. This also applies to the stealth aspect of the game. Once you have unlocked the maximum amount of throwing knives, it really isn't all that difficult to take out enemies with minimal risk. Overall, I would say that the gameplay is smooth and enjoyable, but it does get somewhat repetitive and easy over time. Personally, I would say that Assassin's Creed Syndicate is the first time that Ubisoft provided a really unique and entertaining experience with side missions. Prior to this game, I would say that side missions in Assassin's Creed games definitely lacked character and charm, but this isn't true in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. There aren't a large amounts of these missions like in the recent games where there are infinite hours of content, but the side missions in this game really do help capture the charm of London during the Industrial Revolution. Each side story allows you to encounter different notable individuals from the time, such as Charles Dickens and Charles Darwin, and I think that this is one of the most enjoyable aspects of the game. Each character has their unique quirks and oddities and provides you with different missions that allow you to play a role in different historical events during a historically significant time. This was genuinely really enjoyable for me to experience, even though I've played this game multiple times before, and the game definitely wouldn't be the same without these sets of missions. The rest of the side content come in the form of taking over London step by step. This means freeing each territory of London through missions such as bounty hunts, child liberations, taking out gang hideouts, and assassinating Templars, with all of this resulting in a gang fight for each area. This mission can be exciting at first, but I feel you eventually encounter the issue that they get extremely repetitive towards the end, as you play the same style of mission for each area of London without much changing. So I think it honestly depends on how much you actually enjoy the mechanics of the game and are only worth playing if you genuinely can't get enough of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. The story in Assassin's Creed Syndicate is one that many fans don't really appreciate, and I definitely understand why that is. It doesn't come close to the heights of stories we've had in the past, with the likes of Altair and Ezio, but realistically, what does? Each twin in this story has their own journey in the main game. Jacob aims to raise a gang called the Rooks and take London from blighter control, whilst we follow Evie as she pursues the Apple of Eden. In the beginning, the twins clash as Evie aims to uphold the creed and follow in her father's footsteps, whilst Jacob disregards this and doesn't show much considerations for the creed. Throughout the game, we see Evie follow different leads to find the apple, whilst Jacob pursues different avenues to take London from control of the Templars. The game ends with each sibling coming to a middle ground. Evie comes to realise that there is more to life than the creed, which is largely due to her growing feelings she has for another assassin called Henry Green, and Jacob comes to realise that the creed's teachings do have value. The game ends with the two being knighted by Queen Victoria as they liberate London and return the shroud from Templar hands. The main protagonist in this story is Starrick, and we are shown cutscenes of him throughout the game as his empire falls. I would say he is a real positive of this story, as you know throughout the game that this man is the end target, which is untrue of Assassin's Creed Unity, as the main boss is only revealed late on in the game. The story overall is quite predictable and it is definitely not overly deep or emotional, but it does capture the charms of London at this time and does not take away from the quality of this game due to its many saving factors. And now we move on to the reason that I genuinely love Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and that is the tone. The tone of Assassin's Creed Syndicate is what makes this game just feel special. All of the previous factors all contribute to this. With this game, Ubisoft delivered a light-hearted game with a brighter setting and characters with entertaining quirks. Whilst the story may not be a masterpiece, fair enough, the game is just simply a fun time, and it will definitely make you smile. This is likely why the game is so replayable. You don't play it to be blown away with emotional storylines or in-depth character arcs. You play it for the bright setting, the charming characters, and the smooth yet cartoonish gameplay. After replaying Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I can honestly say that I had an amazing time on this game, and I would strongly recommend it, whether you are new to the franchise or you're one of those people who skipped it due to the failure of Assassin's Creed Unity.